Hey, what's up, guys? I'm doing well.
Welcome back. Here we are.
Good.
Yeah.
He came on to tell us that he's not a white supremacist.
Oh god, that's where we're gonna start this, is it? I don't personally identify as a white supremacist.
I thought you were looking for a fight.
Correct.
It's good. That's why you're back on the show.
We
wouldn't let you on if you did.
I'm glad we're on the same page there. I too would not let someone on our show if I believed they were a white supremacist. Thanks for getting that out of the way. You always know when someone starts a conversation by just saying, hey, this person's not X. That removes all suspicion that they're X. I appreciate that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great.
No, but what I was saying about Southern California is I work at a hotel, and 99% of the people at the hotel are immigrants from Latin America. A lot of Ecuadorians and El Salvadorians from the Civil War and the earthquake, and a few Mexicans, and a lot of them have been here for like 20 years. Working 60 hours a week for 20 years, and they still can't get citizenship. And they have a green card, or they have a work visa, or this or that, and if they're paying taxes for this long, but they're not getting any of the rights. They're not getting any of the ability for Social Security. They're not getting any rights as an American citizen. That's, to me, that's being exploited, and I feel like that's a disturbing pattern in this country of allowing people in and saying, "Go ahead and work as hard as you want, and work 2 jobs and this and that, but you're never going to get the rights that white people have." And I just think that's kind of disturbing. My thing is, it's like, if you're here, if you've passed all the background checks, and like after 5 years you've shown that you're working your ass off, you're paying taxes, you're paying into the system, you're buying into the system, at that point just give the person a green card and then allow them to start voting and then start working their way towards citizenship or something, just something to, because it's like, and also all those people, none of them can vote locally. They can't vote for their own local officials. So then you have, if you're in an area that's like 70% Hispanic and 30% white, and 70% of that Hispanic community is immigrant and they're still not U.S. citizens yet, that means you have like 30% of the population who are richer white people deciding what happens to 70% of the working class. Like, to me, that's exploitative. And I think that's how I'm not saying stop immigration. I'm saying change what happens once they're here. Stop exploiting people once they're here. Give them more rights. Give them citizenship. Give them green cards.
We're off to a good start.
That's my thing.
I was about to say, so you guys crypto much?
Yeah. You guys want to talk about Bitcoin now? All right. Don't feel inclined to push against any of those points.
All right.
I don't know a lot about the situation in Southern California because I'm up here in the utopia known as Canada, where we have no problems of any kind whatsoever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jealous for that healthcare. All right. So what do you take umbrage with of the Can Bitcoin Survive Nano podcast episode?
Oh. You guys needed me. No, I'm just kidding. So I was on your show a few months back. I'm sure all of your listeners know. I don't know if your listeners are, if you have a very dedicated cult following, or if you get random people dropping in and out.
Did you talk about Nano? Because then they'll know.
I believe that we briefly mentioned Nano, and I said I actually haven't really looked into it deeply, but my kind of priors for any cryptocurrency I haven't looked into is assuming a low probability that it will work. And then you guys were like,
and then such a weird scientific method you have there. I haven't looked into it, so I don't think it's going to work.
The reason I say that is because all the ones that I have looked into, I've come away being like, not really. Like it either kind of works the same way Bitcoin does. Like, you have like in terms of like consensus mechanisms and stuff, you have a lot of coins just do proof of work like Bitcoin does. In which case there isn't like a significant improvement on the consensus rules, or for systems that use alternative consensus consensus rules. Like, like IOTA had its like Tangle thing, and there's, what Ethereum's trying to do with proof of stake and stuff. To like the more I've read about them, the less confident I became in them working. And when I actually, after your episode, I went to look up Nano, and I just searched like, Nano, like consensus mechanism, like how does Nano solve the double spend problem? And I just couldn't find the answer. Like I had someone refer to me some like giant article, and I was just like, I decided it probably wasn't worth my time. So
what you wanted was like a 30-second elevator pitch.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, or at least something that explains clearly, like, here is how the double spend problem is solved. And, you can look to that in Bitcoin. Like, the Bitcoin white paper is 7 pages, and only part of that actually details, the solution to the double spend problem. So it's, it is possible that there are these solutions out there. They're just really complex, and but I'm at this point, I'm willing to take the chance that I'm going to miss out on something. I guess Nano fell into that category for me. Yeah.
When you say
sorry,
one
more thing. Well, I'm on a roll here. And then I was referred to your episode, which was can Bitcoin survive Nano, which was a few weeks ago, because one of the listeners from our podcast mentioned, they're like, oh yeah, you got a shout out in like keyword crypto, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. So I went to it. And then I was disappointed that you only mentioned me very briefly. I was hoping I would have gotten my whole segment.
Oh, that's funny. That same thing happened to us when you were on another podcast talking about us. And you were like, I think they're one of those podcasts that likes every crypto equally. And I'm like, no, actually, JJ doesn't really like any of them at all.
Well, those are compatible statements. Anyways, okay, so I was like, oh, okay, but this is a podcast dedicated to Nano. I was like, maybe this is by chance. I'll just listen to, and I'm in it. Then I should definitely listen to it. So I listened to most of the episode, but you didn't really talk about Nano much in it. You kind of talked about how you thought Bitcoin was failing, and I didn't end up learning very much about Nano. And then you said some things about Bitcoin and why you don't trust me, and thought, you know what, there's more for us to talk about. So here I am.
Did I say that? When we were tweeting, I told them, I said, look, I don't remember anything I say. It's like a diarrhea comes out of my mouth.
No, it was a valid point though, because you pointed out how I'm biased. Like I own Bitcoin, and I like my career is in a company that relies on Bitcoin success.
Yeah.
So people should take what I say with a big grain of salt. And I think that's a valid point. That's fair. Like, I mean, I don't trust verify. I believe in that. So that was fair. I mean, I would point out though that, as someone who owns Nano, they should have the similar level of skepticism towards anything you say as well. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And then we tell it. I mean, look, when Colin was on here, I grilled him about things that I have a problem with, and he flat up said, "We don't know if that's going to work. It's just an experiment."
I don't know who Colin is.
Colin's the creator of Nano.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So we had him on, and I said, look, there is no monetary system in the history of the planet that had a fixed supply, ever.
I know.
So we have no idea.
That's why this shit is exciting.
We have no idea if this is going to work. He goes, correct. This is an experiment. And I said, okay, as long as everybody's aware of that. But this idea that people go on and say, oh, fixed supply is going to change everything. It's like, no. You think fixed supply is going to change everything.
Yeah, of course.
You hope it's going to change everything. But we have no data to even remotely think it will. There's nothing there.
Well, I mean, okay, it seems like, there's kind of two parts to the question there. There's A, whether or not it's going to work long term, like whether or not Bitcoin is still an experiment, because we don't know for sure if Bitcoin can survive the declining block subsidy. I'm quite optimistic about that. I think there are reasons we can get into later. And then there's a separate question of, if we do get this global fixed supply currency, what will the effects be? It doesn't really make sense to think that there wouldn't be any effects. If the world switches away from inflationary currencies, to non-inflationary currencies, some stuff is going to change, right? Now, I think that a lot of people on Twitter like really oversell it, like it's going to fix all the world's problems. Yeah, fuck that. But I mean, it's going to change some things. That you won't have the disasters that happened in like Venezuela and Zimbabwe that come from hyperinflation. Stuff like that at a bare minimum. That type of exploitation will no longer be possible in a world with a fixed supply currency, for example. So there are going to be.
Well, you don't like that's absolutely a not true statement, because there's not going to be any way for us to stop Zimbabwe from creating their own digital currency.
Right. No. I said that if we do, like, a country that adopts Bitcoin as its currency, is then like its population is no longer vulnerable to its government inflating the shit out of its money. That's what I mean.
Well,
That's
it can inflate Bitcoin, yeah. But if it decided
yeah.
to have its own stable dollar or something like that based off of...
Right, yeah. No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just if people have access to Bitcoin and can choose to use that instead and it is usable, then there's a very easy out for them. That's what I'm saying.
If it's usable.
Of course. Yeah. Like, yeah.
So really fast, let's go, because, the last time you and I were butting heads mid-argument, and I don't want that to happen again because...
We want to define terms.
Yeah, we're using words in different ways. So like when you say fixed supply... Are you talking about Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin doesn't have a fixed supply. It's going to have a cap total, but right now there's inflation on Bitcoin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's going to go on for the next, 40 years?
Yeah. I'm talking about a supply cap. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I say fixed supply...
there won't be more.
Nano has a fixed supply. It was created through CAPTCHA. And once they did it for a year, and then once that was done, that was it. And
okay, so their like subsidy period has ended already. Okay,
yeah. So it's been going on for 3.5, 4 years now, and so when you said, I don't know if when I look at stuff, I'm not sure if it's going to work. At what point is something technically going to work for? Because Nano's been getting more and more spam attacked and surviving pretty easily, and it works every single time.
Like you're asking,
everybody uses it.
You're asking at what point I would be like, okay, I need to look into this Nano stuff?
No, I'd say at what point, like, what's your definition of working?
Yeah, that's tough. Because I'm of the camp that I think Bitcoin is still an experiment. We don't know if it's going to work. Like, we're not going to find out for another couple of decades still until the subsidy is negligible. So yeah, I don't have a very clear answer to that. I guess for something like Nano, I would need to see it kind of get up to like Ethereum levels of usage and kind of significantly beyond there, and still be able to function properly. That would be necessary, but not sufficient. It's easier for me to describe, like, to come up with several points that it has to pass before I would even consider it's there, and it's still quite small compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there are thousands and thousands of garbage cryptocurrencies out there that are working fine just because almost no one uses them. And I don't know how much Nano usage has, but Ethereum didn't start really running into problems with its system until quite recently, in the last year or two. Well, I mean, I guess
CryptoKitties.
Yeah.
CryptoKitties destroyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I consider 3 years is. I guess 3 years is a long time in the world of cryptocurrency, but
and in 3 years, absolutely nothing's changed
with Ethereum or
with Ethereum,
and
with Bitcoin. We still have massive spikes in fees. If
the Bitcoin fees have not come anywhere close to what it was in 2017.
We also haven't had the throughput that was happening in 2017, right?
That's true. What has happened over time, though, is more people have adopted SegWit, and more stuff hasn't changed on the protocol level. We haven't had a new protocol change since SegWit, but what's happened is the businesses and the projects using Bitcoin, more of them have switched over to SegWit. More of them have started batching and have found ways to kind of spread out the transaction throughput. So the fee spikes are less pronounced. And tend to be more spread out. I think that trend is going to continue because if you're like the fee spikes basically mean that users or businesses are really inefficiently sending their transactions, and so I'll be very surprised if over the next 5 years the spikes really kind of level off and become more like hills, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the next word is decentralization.
Man, I don't even want to use that word. I was thinking about that going into this. I think it's a bit of a red herring. Okay. I don't think it's meaningful. I think what we want to talk about are properties of, let's go with trust minimization. Then we won't get stuck in the quagmire of what trustless means.
Perfect.
Custodian, I think we argued about last time. Custodian, I would define as just a situation. Custodian is a person who has possession of your funds and can control them. Which is a little bit different than a middleman. Like a middleman might be someone you need to go through, but a custodian is actually someone who holds your funds. Are we good on these so far?
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with custodian. I think it was.
I had a problem with how you used custodian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I just assumed like Coinbase is a custodian.
Yes, yeah, but you also described like the Lightning Network middleman as custodian, whereas I took issue with that. That's all.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that's just going to be a point that we have to just accept that we're not going to 100% agree on that yet.
Well, if you agree on my definition of custodian, I don't think there needs to be disagreement.
I mean, if I can't run a transaction past you without you having enough funds in your node,
yeah,
and you're kind of responsible for my funds getting transferred to somebody else, I kind of feel like, in a way, that's kind of custodial.
Okay, but then you're not accepting the definition I put forward, because the definition I put forward explicitly states that the custodian has control over the other person's funds and could choose to just keep them or direct them elsewhere, right? So
I mean, there's still been issues of people just logging off and then people losing their funds, right?
Right, but that's different because that's right, but that's not because other people get control of their funds. That's because their software fucks up, and that's like losing your private key. You know, like,
no. But if you're using me as a middleman and I just log off mid transaction and your money's gone, like
that doesn't happen though.
I mean, I've heard lots of stories of it happening. People losing lots of money because the node went offline or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But that's to do with people's own nodes going down, and then they lose data that would allow them to claim their funds. If I'm using Lightning Network, I can't lose my funds because someone routing my payment goes offline.
Gotcha. Okay. So now I'll concede about custodial.
Boom! My job is done. See you guys. Thanks for having me on. That was it. That's all. I'm just kidding. Sorry. Go ahead.
Uncensorable.
Censorship resistance.
Censorship. I'm sorry. I forgot to write it down. Censorship resistance.
We're just spitballing, Michael or JJ. Sorry, that's JJ, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Censorship resistance. Is that the one you wanted?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This was another point because I think you made a case last time that censorship resistance has a very clear and well understood broad meaning, and to the best of my knowledge, the phrase, those two words together, censorship resistance, didn't come into existence before cryptocurrency. This one's. I would say censorship resistance means there is. It lacks the existence of a censor, that is an entity that can prevent you from doing something like send a transaction.
Okay, then I'm sorry. I forgot to write down the word I meant, and maybe it's the one where you can't roll back the blockchain.
Oh, immutability.
Immutability.
I don't use that word. Fuck that word. That's that one I think is another red herring. That I
because it's like literally written into the Bitcoin code that you can roll the chain back.
Yeah,
so Bitcoiners are always saying it's immutable, and I'm like, it's designed to be mutable.
Well,
like, it's designed to be rolled back. It's expensive to do it.
The idea there is that just the more time passes, the more exponentially difficult it becomes to roll it back. So something from a year ago isn't immutable in a technical sense, but in a practical sense, it's just so outrageously expensive that it can be thought of that way. I don't use that word. I don't actually see that word used. I think it used to be used more like 3-4 years ago, and it's kind of gone out of fashion. So I'm okay. Sure, okay. Okay, other people might be. I'm happy to just not use that word. I think it's a trap. It's a trap.
Well, I have gone through my list. I am good.
All right, we're well equipped to do this without talking past each other.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Everyone's still with us, listening?
There is one other thing. No, they're not. Actually, no. I feel like, I think whenever the last time I came on here, I definitely told the people in our channel, and a bunch of them listened to. And I know they're biased though. I don't know if you guys have your own little. It'd be fun actually to put a bunch of people in the room. I haven't listened to this. I wonder if they cheer or not, or boo. Probably more booing. There's one other thing I want to clear the air on. It was because I believe that you were a bit unhappy with me, Michael, because I called you guys naive on our podcast after our conversation, and you let me know a couple times over Twitter that you weren't pleased with this.
It's a little insulting.
So let me.
I'm naive.
Let me say I stand by that, and I don't think you need to be insulted by it, because I assume you guys think I am naive on Nano, for example. I've kind of made this assumption about it without looking into it. And I think it's totally okay for you to think of that about me. When I said I thought you guys are naive, what I specifically meant was, like, I think there were certain aspects of Bitcoin that you didn't understand. And I think there were, you guys, like, for example, the kind of miscommunication about, like, Paul Sports' issue and, like, how changes are put forward and stuff. And I think because of certain points that you didn't understand, they kind of led to conclusions I disagreed with. That's what I meant by naive, and I think that's the specific meaning of it. So I'm not apologizing for saying it, but I just want to clarify, like, it wasn't meant to be insulting. It was just my best assessment for one of the reasons why we disagreed on certain things about Bitcoin.
I got that.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I'm also a little naive on Nano, even after talking to the founder. But I accept that I'm naive on a lot of things.
I mean, I think of naive in the sense of somebody who doesn't know everything about something and thinks they do, and it's naive to think that you know everything about something. Like,
that's a very extreme.
I don't even think I know everything about Nano, and I'm the one shilling it half the time.
Sure,
I don't think I know everything about Bitcoin.
I mean, I do think there is a little bit of an element. I think that you do overestimate how well you understand Lightning Network based on the conclusions you come to about it. So there's a bit of an element of that, but no, I don't think you think you know everything about it. Of course not.
I mean, my thing is, I mainly base I mainly formulate my opinions based on real world usage. That's it.
I don't
so my thing is, like, show me examples. I mean, when you still can't say that 80% of transactions go through on Lightning Network, I don't think it's a valid thing to use right now.
I don't. Lightning wouldn't be considered a valid thing to use until 80% of attempted payments work.
Well, no, I'm saying you can't, like, 80% of payments aren't even going through right now. It's like last I checked, it was like 75% are going through. That means 25% are still failing. Yeah, on a daily basis.
So is that like you got to, like, try again, like, and then it works a minute later? I don't know. Actually, I don't use Lightning Network that much. It's, like, still early days. So, but
that's what I mean. It's like early days. It's been going on for 3 years now. People have been.
Listen, man, we're trying to overthrow the legacy banking system. It's going to take decades, dude. Like, okay, so actually, this is good. This is leading in towards what one of the reasons. I think the main reason I wanted to come on here was you kind of said, when you were talking about how you need to take what I say with a grain of salt because, I'm invested into Bitcoin. I work for Bitcoin companies. How I get my paycheck. And then you were talking about how, like, and we're still working at it, even though, it's not successful. It hasn't been successful, and they keep on trying to pretend it's been successful. Like, you were saying something very close to that. And I'm kind of sitting here being like, I didn't really expect us to be that much further along than we are now. Like, I mean, I think it's going to take decades for this to really take over, if it does. So I think it's wildly premature to be making statements like that. And that's kind of the general theme of what I want to talk about coming on here. And we can also get into the fees and declining subsidies if you like. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, my thing is like, okay, so we'll stick with the Nano thing. So Nano, about 3 years ago, I downloaded.
Okay, so we're not going to talk about that. Okay, all right.
No. We'll go back and forth. When I first, I don't know if you heard how I got into Nano. I was using IOTA first. I was on something. It was when the fees skyrocketed on Bitcoin. People were like, "Oh, you need to try IOTA." I was like, "Oh, sweet, tried IOTA." Took weeks for transactions to go through. Literally weeks.
Could not work. IOTA.
IOTA.
Okay.
And I was just like, this is, and I replied back, this is absolute garbage. I would never, ever, ever, ever tell somebody to use IOTA.
IOTA is like a shining star of dumpster fires, though. Like
exactly.
They were
the community. The community was horrible. They were aggressive and rude to people and attacking journalists and this and that who asked any, like, relevant questions. And someone said, "Ooh, check out Nano. They're actually really cool people. It's not 100% there yet." So I looked into it. Telegram group the Discord group was really cool and chill, and then I downloaded the dev wallet. I had to, like, socket some stuff and do this and do that and accept payment, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry, like, the next, we're gonna fix that." And in my mind, I'm thinking like, "Oh, the way Bitcoin's gonna fix it 10 years later, and it's still not 100% working." And lo and behold, like 2 weeks later, it was fixed. And then so for the last 2.5 years, I've literally never had an issue accepting or sending Nano. in 2.5 years, and it's always gone through in under 5 seconds.
Sure. Okay.
So to me, that's a thing of like when someone says, "Does it work?" I'm like, "Well, I've been using this a few times a month, 10 times a month. We've been receiving lots of tips in Nano from the Nano community. Never ever had an issue."
Right.
And I send it to JJ. I send it to other wallets. I send it here. I send it. We use the tip bot on Twitter. Like it's like seamless.
But that doesn't mean much until it actually gets tested at scale, right? I mean, like everyone in this space knows that like blockchains and like all the kind of substitutes for them, they scale notoriously terrible. So every one of these is going to work great when they're still a small project.
Well, I mean, but this is what I've been saying for the last year, and JJ can back me up. And it's just like it needs to be tested. It needs to be tested at full scale.
Yeah.
But I mean, what they're doing is they just did a beta test and had like something like 1,800 transactions per second under heavy usage.
Sure, but I mean, like so does Ripple, right? Like,
didn't you just say that Bitcoin is like we're a long ways away? I mean, that argument could be made for Nano too, right?
Bitcoin is. Yeah. Oh no. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not throwing down any things that prove that Nano's not going to work. I'm just giving points why what Michael says isn't terribly convincing to someone like me. That's all.
So, hold on. I'm not the Nano guy in this in this group. I love the project. I love the founder, but I just threw that out there not to like defend the project because I love it.
You're good.
Or I've only even used it once, but I'm just listening to you guys and wanted to throw that out
maybe
there.
I misunderstood your point. Like,
no, I mean, I guess ultimately it's like, so here's something that works. It works every day. It keeps getting better and better. They're scaling it more and more. And the 1,700, 1,800 transactions per second was on user hardware. It wasn't on like, so a lot of people test their beta stuff on like heavy servers. They were doing this on like a Raspberry Pi and got that and scaled it that much. Well, my thing is just like, okay, so Bitcoin can't do that even on beta tests. Lightning Network can't even work 100% of the time, let alone get those kind of speeds and without having massive issues. So my thing is that at what point do you check it out?
When it starts hitting like larger usage. I mean, like
but what's I mean, you just said that like even Ethereum and Bitcoin level isn't even that big. So it's like, I mean, you said like that probably isn't even going to like
this was, yeah. I mean, plenty of projects have like little test runs, where they, tout like, oh, we just sent this many, like BSV did the same thing, Have I missed something? Do you see the difficulty when we talk with Bitcoiners is there's this idea that it's a constant moving of the goalposts. But hold on. No project can actually put information in front of you and have people like actually read it and take it seriously. Well, that's what I was saying in reference to you. Right. You're a Bitcoiner. You work for a Bitcoin company. Yeah. There's no reason for you to look at Nano. Well, not quite actually. So I don't quite agree with that because it would be great for me if I were to be convinced that Nano works. Because
how would you be convinced? Like that's a thing.
No. It's because I could dump my Bitcoin for Nano and I'd be in earlier in Nano than I would have been for Bitcoin. Like I only got to Bitcoin a few years ago, and I could jump ship and get like an early spot in one of these Nano companies or whatever. That would, if Nano is as good as it's touted to be, that would actually be quite good for me. I could make that transition, I think, and I'd be better off. And so, yeah, like I understand the frustration of like, what do we need to do to convince you? And sorry, I don't actually know what the answer is. There are a whole bunch of necessary but not sufficient conditions, and like at this point, I'm kind of looking at like, sure, I could look into Nano again, and like, but the thing is, I hear similar arguments from like 100 other cryptocurrencies, right? Like,
yeah,
so it's not even so like if there was just one, if it was Bitcoin versus Nano, I would probably spend quite a bit of time learning about it. But it's just like at a certain point, you got to pick and choose and be like, where do I focus my time? And it hasn't been rewarding looking into these other altcoin projects for me. And Bitcoin has been very rewarding. So that's all.
And when I say Nano, I'm like using that as a placeholder. I'm saying that any project that actually works right now, what level do they have to hit for Bitcoiners to finally spend 10 minutes, 30 minutes actually reading about it?
I mean, I have spent 20 minutes reading about Nano, and I've listened to your guys' podcast on it. Although you talked about Bitcoin mostly on
honestly, that episode was me talking about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I just threw in Nano as kind of like a joke.
Well, I mean, the title of the show was "Can Bitcoin Survive Nano?" So I thought it would at least be half about Nano. But
no, it was literally 100% about Bitcoin. Dealing with fees and all that kind of stuff. The guy in the thread was talking about Bitcoin.
To answer your question simply, I don't know. And I am open to the possibility that I have become close-minded to the point where I'm going to miss out on something big. But I am confident that if Nano works as claimed, it will become the dominant cryptocurrency. If it works as claimed, and somewhere along the way, I will I will pay attention. Like I will be forced to. So I'm sure that's not a very satisfying answer, but that's the honest one.
I don't. There's no like dissatisfied side from me. These are just honest actual. Like it's not gonna. It doesn't base my opinion, but I know that a lot of people in the Nano community and like Digibyte community and all the other communities, they are kind of frustrated with this idea of like, not only do people not read about it, but then they also just talk shit and hurl expletives and denigrate it and ridicule it. All these different communities because they're not Bitcoin, and if it's not Bitcoin, it's shit.
Right. And I do find the Nano reply guys annoying, so I've probably thrown attitude towards them. But
in what sense? Because from my experience, like some of the most polite people. So is it just because they're like too Canadian for you?
No, it's just like there's like an unrelated conversation, and a bunch of people are like, hey, you should use Nano, and then once one of the Nano guys is there, then like a bunch of other ones show up, and I'm just like, I don't need this shit in my mentions. Like I don't care. Like it's not that bad, and like I don't actually spend much of my time talking about these altcoins. I get
a little tired of hearing about it sometimes, even though I think it's fascinating.
You gonna take that, Michael?
Oh, I don't care.
No, he doesn't care at all.
Literally don't care.
I thought it was kind of cool when you said it will become the dominant cryptocurrency, because we can edit that out and use that.
Sure. All right. So then here is just to go back to one of the questions I asked earlier, though. Like you seemed to be quite confident in asserting that Bitcoin hasn't worked, and it has continued to not work. And like, what do you think about the argument, though, that this shit just takes a long fucking time because it's an inherently difficult problem that we're trying to solve? It's
not. It's pretty easy. Nano works after 4 years. It's like that's my point.
Hold on.
Like here's something that works.
Okay. How does Nano
put it to scale?
So Nano uses. Let's
attack it. All right, spam it. All right. Just like, prove everybody wrong. I want you to prove Nano wrong.
I'm gonna try and understand Nano right now. So Nano
I'm not
uses
the one who can tell you about it. I don't know anything about it.
Wait, hold
I just
on.
know that it works.
Wait, but how do you know that it works if you don't know how it works?
Because I use it. I use it on a daily basis, or not daily basis, like weekly basis.
Right, but PayPal works. But PayPal works, right? Like,
yeah.
But PayPal doesn't scale without a custodian, right? Like, okay, but you're making the claim that Nano will work at scale, won't it? Aren't you?
So far, like the last beta test they did last week, like where they did like high throughput on consumer grade hardware. Like that's what they really wanted to test, because they wanted to see how is it going to hold up when Joe, mom and pop, whatever at their local store start accepting.
Okay,
Nano
so you don't understand
shop.
how it works. You just have confidence that it will work at scale because
I have
you've read a report.
I have like a layman's understanding, but I'm not the most technical person in the sense of like.
Well, how about this? Okay, tell me how,
coding and all that.
Okay, I actually looked into IOTA a decent bit because there was like a friend of my brother's who was getting into cryptocurrency and was really into IOTA, and this is when IOTA it was just starting to show it was kind of nonsense. So I ended up reading their paper. It was one of the only altcoin papers I really read in depth, and I understood this kind of basic Tangle idea where, like, instead of mining blocks, just each new transaction has a small amount of proof of work which points to previous transaction, and rather than a history being added to itself in blocks, you just have this whole kind of cluster of transactions building on earlier versions of itself, which in itself doesn't actually solve the double spend problem, because you can still have this issue where different nodes have different versions of a history. Like if two incompatible transactions get broadcast at the same time, you might have diverging histories, and then you don't have everybody on the same network, essentially. And the IOTA guys had these like coordinator nodes that the IOTA Foundation controlled and kept them all in the same place, which was essentially just like they were just the authority that decided what the history was, and so it didn't solve this problem at all. And with Nano, I got as far as they use the same tangle idea, right? Like of like each transaction has a small amount of proof of work, right?
Yeah.
But there was still no answer I could find as to how it makes sure that the entire network converges in the same history. And if I could get a satisfying answer to that, that would go a long way towards selling me on Nano.
So what I understand is that the people who have the highest voting weight make the decisions.
Oh, so it's a proof of stake system.
And the voting weight is not proof of stake. It's because if you have a node that's up that has 100% uptime and you're a smaller node, I want to help decentralize the network. So I'm going to take my voting weight and I'm going to take it away from like something like Binance and I'm going to point it to you. So now you have my voting weight. So you don't. It's not a stake of the coin. It's a stake of the actual weight, and so you can increase your voting power that way.
But what if there's if there's a disagreement among the voters? Like, what if I point my node to one person, then I point my node to another person, and then there's disagreement on which. What
do you mean? What do you mean if you point your node to one person, then point it to another person? What do you mean?
Well, presumably that you have to like broadcast to the network which node you're supporting, right?
Yeah,
and you can broadcast conflicting messages at the same time that might reach different parts of the network at the same time. And then
I don't know how that would happen.
Well, this is the fundamental problem that needs to be solved.
It's like if I have an app and I change my representative to you, and then
right, but
I mean that happens instantaneous.
No, that's the whole point. There is no instantaneous communication. Well, this is where the problem comes from.
Less than a second.
It doesn't matter. As long as it's not instantaneous, as long as it is limited by the speed of light, there is no way to be sure that the same message reaches everyone first. Like this is the fundamental problem.
So your question is me changing my voting weight from you to JJ? And somehow that and see, because here's the thing,
right? Sure, based on what you described,
it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter how much Nano I actually hold or you actually hold. It's like the percentage like the weight. So I can give you my weight.
What's the weight based on?
So if I give it to JJ,
is it one weight per node or?
What do you mean one weight?
Like I mean, well, you said you give your weight to like JJ's node or whatever because you like him or whatever. Like are all nodes weighted equally? And
so from my understanding, it's you have a weight based on how much you have in your wallet.
It is proof of stake. It's just indirect. You get to choose.
It's not really proof of stake. So it's kind of in the sense of like, so I have my weight and I pass it on to you, and now you have the ability because you have more uptime and you have the ability to, keep the chain intact. See, here's the thing.
The reason I'm calling it
these are great questions, but I am not the person, and I'm not the person to dig into the weeds in this, but these are great questions. And the fact that we've interviewed the creator and it's still this difficult to explain to people, that's a point that Nano fans need to come to grips with and really make it clear and have like a 30-second elevator pitch on how this stuff works. Because if I can't explain it to if I can't explain it to you in 30 seconds, you're going to move on.
Right. Okay. Well, there you go. There's your answer. Once I can get, I would need this question to be answered, and if this question can be answered satisfyingly, it will convince me more than any other cryptocurrency has to date. But every time I've investigated this particular question with other cryptocurrencies, they're either using proof of work like Bitcoin is, or they have a system that has not been shown to work. Or if it's working, it's relying on something like what the IOTA guys did, like some central issue or some central party. So there's your answer. There's your answer. I hope that's a clear answer for you for what it would need. Yeah.
It is. But so then I guess that at what point how much spam attack would be needed for you to feel confident that it actually works?
How much spam?
Because ultimately that's what we're worried about, right? Is spam attacks.
Well, I would want to see how it works because for all I know, it would work. There was a massive spam attack, but it's there's some Nano Foundation keeping everybody in line. They all refer to this as note. So, I mean, I guess if it started reaching, if it started reaching like large amounts of traffic, I mean, yeah, I would go in. I would have to learn how it worked. I think and so is your question like what it would take for me to like dig deeper in how it works?
No, I was wondering if there's like something specific, like so that's like look. Well, I mean, I think you said it. Like if you can have somebody explain how to stop not double spends, but how to stop double spends.
The double spend also. Problem. That is the problem. Yeah.
So if you're listening to this, don't attack. Like don't. Nano reply guys, don't get on Mario's feed and start spamming him.
I mean,
talk to each other and have one person come up with and figure out an answer, and have one person reach out to him.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. So that's because so like as much as you guys know I love you, you have two people now who have said it's getting a little annoying. Not because you're very polite.
You sound like a fucking dad people. Lecturing his kids right now.
No, but like
guys, we've been over this before. This is one of. I want you to be in your best behavior.
This is one of the best communities in cryptocurrency right now, just from a positivity standpoint.
Is it like Dogecoin level positive?
It's better.
I think that's better. I think that's a little bit too hopium. Yeah, these are just like serious people who are just like really trying to get this off the ground and get more. Yeah. So this is a lovingly critical comment on the approach they're taking to Twitter is it is becoming a little spammy.
Well, right now they're just indistinguishable from like all the others, like Chainlink or Bitcoin Cash or any of the others. So like like the only reason I'm talking about this right now is because I'm on your guys' podcast and you like them. So
yeah. Well, I mean, so it really reminds me of Bitcoiners like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago when they were at those conventions and they were trying to give somebody a Bitcoin and they're like, I don't really want to.
Before the block size wars.
And how difficult it was to actually give somebody a free Bitcoin back then.
Sure.
And that's kind of how it is for the Nano guys. They're like, here, I'm tipping you on Twitter with the tip bot. I'm giving you free money.
Okay.
Just take it. See how fast it works. I'm just trying to show you.
The thing is, like, I know how fast, Roger Ver does this shtick too with Bitcoin Cash. He shows how fast it is. So, but
that's completely centralized, right?
Right. But to the best of my knowledge, like Nano might be as well. That's all.
True.
Yeah. Which is why we come back to double spend problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, let me know if you figure out the answer to that because,
you'll know because someone's going to reach out to you.
Oh my God, am I going to have? Okay, well, we'll see. As long as
if they're listening, to this, if I get not to be spammy.
If I get Nano reply guys, you're taking care of them, all right, Michael?
Yeah, I'll jump on and be the bad dad.
All right.
All you got to do is say something nice about Nano, and then you got a great community around you. That's what happened to our show.
All right. Is that what happened? You guys like had this crypto show, and then you guys like were just like critical of all these different cryptocurrencies, and you said something nice about Nano, and then suddenly you had all these friends in the space all of a sudden, and then now Michael's all into Nano. Is that like?
No, I was already into it way before. That's the reason why I talked to it.
It was kind of funny though. It was kind of funny because when Michael started talking about it, I was like, oh no, now we're going to have a bunch of like Nano shills following us on every thread. And they started to show up and I was like, these guys are actually all right.
You should title this episode. Title this episode, Mario doesn't understand how Nano solves the double spend problem.
Dude, this is why you shouldn't be marketing for podcasts. That is the longest. If you have more than 4 words, it won't show up in iTunes. Yeah, it's just like ...
Yeah, but my concern right now is not helping you guys show up in iTunes. My concern is getting this question answered. So
it's going to be Nano PLZ help Mario.
It's going to say Mario says Nano doesn't work. There we go. How about that one? Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Right. I didn't know we were going to talk so much about Nano.
Well, it kind of makes sense. I mean, because on the episode about Nano, we talked about Bitcoin, and I was supposed to come and talk about Bitcoin, so we're talking about Nano. So.
And also you wanted to come on and talk about fees, and so I'm using that as kind of like the foil for the Bitcoin fees.
You suggested fees, but I'm down to talk about them. We can talk about fees. Let's do it. Yeah.
I thought you said you wanted to talk about fees. You wanted to come on.
Maybe I did. Maybe I'm misremembering. I whatever. Let's talk about fees. What do you want to know about fees? Fucking love fees. Do you guys like fees?
Well, I don't have much to add except I'm I'm naive.
I've got a gripe. I've got a. I'm glad we're on the same page. It's always good when we have a common starting point. All right. I want to get this out there. This is you guys' audience is the wrong audience for this, but people talk about the fee market, and I hate this term. There's no such thing as a fee market. It's a block space market. Calling it
has a chart
because it does very good. Because
if it has a chart, it's real.
It's a market.
My mom told me that.
It's
Can I trade it?
If you think about it though, like fees are what you pay, right? I mean, it's like going to like a fish market, and this is the Bitcoin Rabbi used this analogy, which I thought was just dope. Do you guys know the Bitcoin Rabbi? Nope. Shout out to the Bitcoin Rabbi. He's delightful. You should follow him.
I do know the Bitcoin Rabbi. I do know the Bitcoin Rabbi.
He's super. He's super nice and just hilarious because he actually is a rabbi and is super into Bitcoin and talks about how like Bitcoin's I don't know, like compatible with Jewish values and shit. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, the fee market people always talk about. It doesn't make sense to call it a fee market. It's a block space market because there's a market for block space. And like calling it a fee market is like you don't call any other market by the name of the currency you use. It's like calling a fish market a dollar market because you're paying for fish in dollars. So,
well, that's what doesn't make sense to call it a wallet when it's more of a keychain.
Yes,
but
that ship has fucking sailed, man.
Exactly.
I think there's hope for the block space market, and I've made some strong allies in this campaign of mine, but I think I'm the only one who really cares.
I haven't even heard the phrase fee market.
Oh, really?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Only on Mike Space's show.
Oh, well, he doesn't talk about the fee market, I don't think. He had that segment.
He definitely does.
Well, he had that.
He talks about fees. He talks about fees.
Yeah.
He talked about
fees.
He even has that entire stick on the fee market.
Yeah, he did the bit for CoinSpice. But I think that was about. Yeah, okay, maybe he did say fee market. I don't know. Anyways, the reason
that's the only reason I know the word. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard it anywhere else.
I'll have words with him.
It made sense to me.
Maybe he made it up as a joke.
The only reason I understood that term is because it's something that has volatility. That's about it. It's not really a market.
Well, I think it is a market.
Yeah, because U.S. dollar is stable, and so if you're trading fish with a stable thing, you wouldn't call it a U.S. dollar market.
I don't think it's.
But if you're trading for something with
I don't think stability is any issue. Like, I mean, the thing is, like, people bid against each other and pay, for trying to get data included in a block, right? And so that's it. There's a market where there's like, there's demand and supply for block space. So that's why
block space market.
Call it a block space market.
All right.
Yeah, but the thing is, think about it like gas. Think about it like gas to drive a car. There is definitely a gas market.
Yes, that's big.
And there's futures.
Yes.
And people, and so fees for the Bitcoin is how to make Bitcoin work. So why wouldn't there be? Because you're not totally see there being a futures market on the fees of Bitcoin.
Hold up, but that's like saying there's a future markets on the dollars for gas. You call a market by what the good you're purchasing is, and in this context, you're not purchasing fees; you are purchasing block space.
But what if you're paying U.S. dollars for the Bitcoin?
If you're buying Bitcoin with U.S. dollars, that's you just changed the subject. That has nothing to do with. But what if I'm buying a chocolate bar at the convenience store? Then you're doing that. Sorry, I don't understand your what.
It's not really
okay.
No, I disagree. I'm saying if you're using gas to make cars go.
That is what gas does.
And gas is volatile. And people are betting on the price of gas, and there's a futures market and all that.
Yeah, it's a gas market.
So,
sort of.
If people are using Bitcoin and they're buying stuff with Bitcoin, and the fees are constantly going up and down.
Hold on. No, but it's the block space that they're buying.
No, they're buying something with Bitcoin.
Yeah, and they're buying block space. That's what fees are. Fees are Bitcoin that it is used to pay for the space in the block that your transaction is included in.
So if I'm buying a comic book from you,
yes,
I'm not actually buying the comic from you. I'm buying block space.
No, you're buying a comic book from me.
Okay, that's what we're talking about.
Right. So
and the fees to make that transaction work are they're all over the place. They're very volatile.
But if I charge you a fee for my comic book, you're not buying the fee. You're buying the comic book. The fee is just what you're using to pay for it. Same
but
thing
if
in
the
Bitcoin.
fee was constantly changing, and the fee for the comic book could go up to like 20 or 30%.
Yes, that can happen over time. That happens with a lot of comic books.
Then there could be,
and you wouldn't call it a fee market
for the fee, just for the fee.
Wait, what is the fee?
What
is the fee? Is the fee the money you're paying for the comic book?
The transaction fee. The transaction fee to buy the Bitcoin, to buy the comic with the Bitcoin. Whatever, there's always a transaction fee, right? And that fee is constantly moving up and down.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas the fee when I use US dollar, there's that fee is flat. It's stable. Like we know if I'm actually paying you with cash, there is no fee. If I'm using a credit card, there's always a flat fee, and I know that. And there's no market for that because it's always stable, no matter what. And the value of the US dollar in America is always fixed.
There. Right, but like
like nobody's. I don't get it either.
I don't get what your point is.
I get it. It's a block space.
Moving on.
Fee, a block space market. I get that.
Yeah. Thank you, JJ. I appreciate that. Minus one naivety point.
It's okay.
I'll stop.
Okay,
I'll stop
I'm just
doing
a dumb
that.
19-year-old kid.
All right, what else?
Well, that's it.
Yeah,
that's all. That's all.
Crypto,
you're
finally.
19. Shit, man.
No, and I don't have a crush.
You're not fucking 19, though. No, you're not. Your friends. You're.
He's older than you, dude.
You guys know how old I am? I just turned 31. I am.
Oh my god, you're a fucking baby.
Yeah. Well, I'm. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of. I guess.
Holy shit.
Why? How old are you? Really, like 50 or something?
I could be your dad.
Really? You're mid 40s?
19.
No,
okay.
Close. Yeah, I am mid 40s.
Oh. Well,
yeah.
I didn't.
It's our secret.
I'm actually JJ's dad, so.
Okay, yeah, sure. No, I'm actually
his grandfather.
It is kind of funny. I'm subletting a new place right now. For the next 4 months here in Victoria, rent is expensive, and I was like delighted with the place I found. It's like a big room in this house in like a nicer part of town. And I guess the reason I got it cheap was because it's normally for like undergrad students. I guess just some of them aren't coming back to university because the world's going tits up. And I'm now living with like a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds, from like India and Vietnam, and like they've just moved to Canada last year. And it's actually a lot of fun. It's like a very different living situation that I would have had.
Oh boy!
I've already been called the dad of downstairs, which is a role I have never been assigned before. Which is
have you been shaking your fist at them and telling me to turn down the music?
No, honestly, like I think one of the guys, they can probably fucking hear me right now, but whatever. One of the guys likes cooking with his pressure cooker in the mornings, and and my room is right by the kitchen. And like, have you cooked with a pressure cooker before? Like he's got one of these and you got to let the pressure out and lets out this like massive hiss. It's like, and you do it every 30 seconds,
like a radiator.
So it's
like
not turn down the music; it's turn down that goddamn pressure cooker.
It does that.
Anyways, and I like asked him if he could do it like later in the day, and he was like really not impressed. He's like, I'm just using the kitchen. And I'm like, yes.
He wasn't impressed.
I'm like, yes, you are, but in a very loud,
like, whatever, old man.
In a very loud fashion in the mornings.
I thought you were going to be like one.
Thought old people woke up early.
Are we going out drinking again? Like are we party kegger at our place?
No, not quite. None of them drink. None of them. I don't know.
Did you have to get tested before you moved in?
Did I for coke? No, like
for coke
for COVID. Yeah, not for coke. They just assumed I did coke. No, I mean
Have you seen that hair? He does coke.
Growing the hair out does make people assume you do drugs. So when I was in Korea, I would often get tourists ask if they could buy weed off of me, and I'd be like, "You were in the wrong country." I mean. Yeah, I don't blame them. I mean, like if you look like Jesus, it's a stoner look. But,
yeah. Jesus was a hippie, so what are you gonna do?
Man, we really didn't cover much of Bitcoin today, did we?
So you came on to talk about definitions of things mainly.
No. I came on because I took issue with this idea that Bitcoin has failed, and I still don't understand why you think it makes sense to make that assertion.
Well, because you said that it doesn't work yet, and it's probably going to be like another 10 years before it works.
That's not what I said. No. I said it was an experiment. It works quite well for a lot of things now, but to find out whether or not it survives is a long-term, monetary standard, that's going to take another 10, 20
well,
years.
I'm talking about in terms of daily use. It's a failure right now. It's not working for daily use.
How does it make sense to
At
say
scale.
it's a failure
At
when
scale.
then there's like tens of millions of dollars transacted per day on Bitcoin? How does it make sense to call it a failure? Yeah, I mean, like we could look
for
up.
How many people? I mean, isn't it still like 3 transactions a minute or something, or a second or something like that?
I think it's around 7 per second. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, but so, I think that like even if your average Joe is
so it's a banker coin. It's a banker coin.
I don't think it's mostly bankers using it, but I expect in the future there will be a lot of banks using it, and that is okay. I think the base layer will be a settlement layer, and a lot of the everyday payments will be will shift to custodial or non-custodial second layers like Lightning, or there might be debit and credit cards you use denominated in Bitcoin, and that's okay. That there can still be tremendous benefits derived from Bitcoin, even if that's the future we're going to. And I don't see.
But I mean, isn't that like literally the antithesis of what Bitcoin is supposed to be?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the antithesis of Bitcoin
based on the white paper.
No, I don't think the white paper says anything about no banks shall use this. I think the white paper is a technical specification, but the community around it has. I mean, it's been a bit tough because there's a lot of different people who see Bitcoin and value different things in it. But like pretty much everybody agrees that it can be a hedge against inflation. There's the thing I described earlier about how it can. People can use it as an alternative money if they're getting fucked over by the government's printing too much. Like even if you are like priced out of the non-custodial uses, which hopefully won't happen, but even if that happens, there's still value in it. It stops these banks from just printing shit tons of it at the expense of people.
Well, I mean, because so the fees make it pretty much unusable for 90% of the population of the planet.
Well,
right?
But as I said earlier, a lot of the everyday uses can then move to these second layers, and then people still are then able to transact in it.
Can they right now? Can they right now go to second layer and?
Well, yeah. I mean, like you go
and use it as the white paper says, a peer-to-peer currency.
You can go say. I mean, yeah, you can do that with Lightning. I don't know where reliability is at these days, but it gradually improves over time. And then again, you can use custodial versions of that payment, and you could use them for everyday payments, and then keep your longer term savings on your own devices, non-custodial, right? Like, I mean, like you don't need to have everybody using the peer-to-peer transactions for all of their activity in order for it to be successful and have a lot of benefits for people. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but I mean, so from my standpoint, when I say it's a failure, I mean in the terms of looking at the white paper, what it was designed to actually do, where it is now.
But that's the thing. Like you're saying, it was designed to let the entire world make peer-to-peer transactions to each other in the base chain. I mean, we've known for 8 years now that doesn't work. And
okay, so there you go.
Right.
That's it.
But that's fine. But that doesn't mean that it's failed. That's not a necessary condition for Bitcoin to be very successful.
And okay, so from my standpoint, it's like you have a flat tire, and then you just keep trying to patch it and patch it and patch it and patch it and patch it. When there's a really good new tire right there, like right across the street, and all you have to do is just walk over and grab it.
Right.
And I know it takes a little bit of time, but like, why do we still keep trying to patch something that obviously still doesn't work yet?
Well, okay, so
the way it was intended to do.
Okay, well,
there's a separate question.
There's two separate things here. There is, has Bitcoin failed, and is there something else that works better? All right, we've kind of already covered whether or not Nano or something else works better, and what I would need to be convinced to look at that. So, to my estimation, Bitcoin is the best shot we've got at solving the types of problems, plural, that cryptocurrencies can solve. And we have these constraints that were given due to kind of the nature of due to the nature of like kind of blockchains and their challenges. And we're just trying to make Bitcoin as useful as possible with the greatest number of people. Like that's how I see our role in this.
Well, I mean, so like you have, so I mean, I've even said this, and I know it's like I mean, it's not even anathema to the Nano people. They're like, fine, do it. But I said, like, you have a project that works every single time it's used. Why wouldn't you just adopt that instead of Lightning Network?
Well, because I don't think it will work at scale, and I suspect that if and when I look into the double spend problem, there will be an unsolved issue with it still. I mean, yeah. But again, we're back to it. You're saying there's something better. Okay, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
But just because there's something better, that doesn't mean that Bitcoin has failed.
So I think that's my frustration with cryptocurrency in general and with Bitcoiners in general is your last statement.
What?
I don't think it'll work.
Yeah.
And if I do read it, I think it won't work. You're making these declarative statements versus just being open to, hey, maybe it'll work. And maybe I'll be impressed.
No, hold on. I didn't say I wasn't open to it. I mean, I can
assign. You said very clearly it won't work.
No, I didn't.
And when you read it, you don't think it's going to work.
That's right.
Those were your exact words.
There's a difference between saying I don't think something will happen and not being open to it, right? I mean, there are plenty of situations where I'll be like, the answer is probably going to be no, but I'll try anyways. Like, do you know what I mean?
But you're not trying, though. That's what I mean. It's like no one's really trying out. So it's just like I feel like, and this is my complaint in general. Like, it feels like people have so much invested in Bitcoin, they don't want to try anything else.
Well, no, but again, we're back to are they invested in Bitcoin, which has caused them to not want to look at anything else, or are they invested in Bitcoin because they've looked into everything else, found everything else wanting, and then ended up with Bitcoin?
They haven't looked. I guarantee you, they haven't looked into everything else.
Well,
it's physically,
exactly.
I think it's physically impossible. It's physically
at a certain point, though,
at a certain
point, though, you need to decide when it's no longer worth your time to look into whether or not cryptocurrency number 10,001 is the next real big thing, right?
Sure, but then you're going to miss on Google, you're going to miss on Amazon, you're going to miss on Facebook, you're going to miss on Twitter, you're going to miss.
That's okay. That's okay. You're not going to catch everything. But when we look into Bitcoin, we see that this actually does have a lot of value, and there's a lot more it can do for people.
Yeah, but if Netscape did everything they possibly could to make sure Google and Amazon didn't work, and they went around town saying this is fucking shit.
Yeah, I don't do
These
that.
people are fucking scammers. Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. it's the consensus in the Bitcoin community. Like Samson's a perfect fucking example of it. It's just I'm not here to shit talk.
Yeah, I'm not here to defend the actions of other people and how they criticize other projects. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not going to do it. I don't do that.
Okay. I have a question. Like that's my frustration with the
Sure, but that's a very different thing than saying Bitcoin has failed. It's not successful. Why you guys still working on it? That's all. Oh, you had a question, JJ.
I mean,
Yeah, I have a question. When you came into crypto and you discovered Bitcoin, like, do you look into other projects too because you were excited about it, or are you pretty much?
I did, but briefly. So I joined in May 2016, and I joined a Bitcoin meetup of guys who were actually very, very technical. So and I was interested in altcoins, and they kind of said most of them actually aren't really worth. Or are very misleadingly marketed and don't actually do what they claim to do, but they kind of encouraged me to learn about them anyways. And so, I got the basics of how a lot of all the other proof of work currencies worked, and if they rely on proof of work stuff like Litecoin or the Bitcoin Cash forks, they didn't exist when I joined, but later on, right? Or Monero, all of these other ones, they work. They've got the same consensus mechanism, but they have other issues, or they're fine, but they're not better than Bitcoin, and it makes sense to coalesce on a single currency, like it's likely going to happen due to network effects. And then there's the other class of cryptocurrencies that claim to have solved the double spend problem in a better way. Like Ethereum still relies on proof of work, but claims proof of stake is going to work. The more I read about proof of stake, the more there's just some other solution they have, which itself is a problem, and then that problem itself is another solution, and there's just this rabbit hole that you lose patience going down, and it's years later and they haven't done it. So that's why I kind of lost interest in Ethereum. Ripple doesn't work without the Ripple Foundation or company or whatever. So I kind of went through this progress, and I went through it I think quicker than most. I didn't buy any cryptocurrencies until I'd been in it for a few months, and then I bought Bitcoin for the first time. So I never was invested into any of the alts. But I think it also helped that around the time that I was looking into them was when the DAO blew up back in 2016. And that kind of, it did push me, I think, towards, I don't like the term Bitcoin maximalism, but it did push me towards being Bitcoin focused and not interested in alts, I think, quicker than most.
That's a good answer. I mean, if you actually spent some time looking into some and you didn't find any that worked, then you wouldn't want to spend your time looking into others.
I mean, Monero works and has a valid use case. It just scales even worse than Bitcoin does, So, Monero is probably, if I had to own another cryptocurrency or work on one or be interested in it, it probably would be Monero. And like some of the other ones, like the Mimblewimble coins, like Grin, they work on a legitimate concept that could be good, but just the way the project has come out and how it was marketed and their claims and how it was launched was kind of sketchy. So it's disappointing. So it's not like, again, I don't think the most sensible position to take is Bitcoin is good, all others are bad, end of story. But, at a certain point, you just kind of lose patience of, saying that. And I don't know. So then you can either just call everything a scam or you can just try to ignore it. And I try to ignore it for the most part. Sometimes I poke my head in and, we'll talk to you guys or, I've had an argument with Vitalik about why I thought proof of stake wouldn't work and found his answers pretty unsatisfying. But, so I'll do that sometimes, but I don't spend a lot of time giving attention to them.
What answers do you feel are unsatisfying about proof of stake?
There's a really good paper that summarizes, if you guys want to read it, Andrew Perlstra, one of the guys at Blockstream, wrote it back in 2015 or something.
Surprise!
No, I know, right? So if you want the in-depth answer, maybe I could link that to you guys. You can add the show notes. So you have this issue of this nothing at stake problem where you have a certain amount of coins staked and then you're entitled to votes or it's been a while since I've described this. The more funds you have, the more likely it is you get to create the next block or whatever, next block of transactions. And you can also, I guess, refuse to acknowledge one of the histories and go with another history somehow. And okay, the point is that there's always some way that you might end up with a divergence on a chain, where if there might be a power blackout and you end up with some section gets a slightly different version of history than another section of the network. And then there needs to be some way to resolve that dispute, which is the legitimate history. Now, with proof of work currencies, it's quite simple. Whichever history has more proof of work and is valid under the rules becomes a canonical chain. And, they might compete for that for a few blocks or a certain period of time, but eventually one of them is going to win out and then all the nodes will converge on that one. With proof of stake, though, there's no external factor like proof of work that everyone can agree on. The determinants of which is the valid chain, what goes into that is internally is derived entirely from data on chain. So it becomes a bit of this chicken egg problem where you have these two different versions of history, and they are both the valid version of history according to the data in their own history. And and there are a few other ways to formulate this idea, and I'm probably not doing a great job of it, but you need some way to resolve that dispute without a trusted party. And to the best of my knowledge, proof of stake doesn't have this, because then they say okay, well, there's a punishment for being on the wrong chain, but then that just kind of assumes you've already found this correct chain. And then again, there keeps on being these more layers of, we solved it in this way, and then the solution itself is a problem. And, eventually I just kind of give up reading about it. And who knows, maybe they will find the solution for this, but, at a certain point, you have to decide whether or not it's worth your time.
I don't know, man. That just sounds kind of naive.
It might be. It might be, man. You were waiting a long time to drop that, weren't you?
Yeah. No, I mean, when we interviewed Vitalik, he said all the right things in terms of egalitarian and equality and this and that. But then when he was talking about proof of stake, it still seemed like rich people were going to have the power.
Oh yeah,
and I was just like,
well, that's another thing. Even if proof of stake works,
I'm not happy with your
even
answers,
if proof
dude.
of stake works, you do end up with this problem where the more funds you have, the more you get paid for having those funds.
I thought that was the easy answer. Was just the cartel problem.
So that's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing I like about Nano is that it's not about who has the most funds, because obviously Binance would have the most funds because they're the biggest exchange, and that's where the most of Nano is. But people can change their vote to a different, smaller node and decrease Binance's power, even though they have the majority of the coins. That's what I like about it.
Sure, but that doesn't solve the issue I like
that it's true. Well, I don't know. It might. I just don't know how to explain it to you. Okay. So I'll find somebody who does. But I love the idea that it's not about the person who has the most money has the most power, because that's supposed to be the antithesis of what cryptocurrency is. Because if we're just recreating the rich, powerful bankers have all the control, then we've failed as a community.
Oh yeah, and I don't. This brings me back to another thing you mentioned, which was you talked about how on Bitcoin you have this issue. You used an analogy of coal miners and like wanting to oppose clean energy developments and stuff and keep the coal industry alive. And you had a comparison to Bitcoin miners somehow, but I was a bit confused by that. I didn't understand why you thought that analogy made sense.
Well, if you've invested tens of millions of dollars in miners and in the equipment to mine Bitcoin, you're not going to want to change to proof of stake or something.
So you're talking about changing the
ASIC resistance.
Okay, you're talking about changing the consensus mechanism.
Because you have $10 million worth of miners that are just now useless, and you want to make your money back plus a profit before anything changes. But you're in the vicious cycle of you keep on updating your miners to the newest miner.
This is kind of an issue with
nobody ever wants to change.
Ethereum is having this issue, right? Because they got all these miners, people who invest into mining that don't want them to switch to proof of stake. I actually haven't followed. This just sounds familiar to some issue.
I always thought most miners were using AWS. That's what I heard, and so they don't really care.
Miners, I don't think so, because mining is a very it's. I mean, if you're doing proof of work, it's been around a while. There's ASICs. You got to buy specialized hardware. AWS doesn't help you with that.
Well, no, you can mine Bitcoin or you can mine Ethereum on Amazon Web Servers. People there's hacks to do it, and a lot of people have figured out how to do it. You're not making a ton of Ethereum, but for nerds who just want to hack it together and figure out and I think even Sergey of Google was like, oh yeah, I did it with my son or something like that, and we mine Ethereum together, and it's nice. It's really easy. We can.
Yeah, but I mean, if you hack AWS and get them to do it for you for free, you might make a bit of money. But the what they would charge you for that processing power would definitely be more than you'd earn in.
I don't know. I mean, people were doing it for a while, and nobody was.
Michael, if we could still do that, doesn't that mean we can all just sign up for AWS right now and have passive income?
No, because it's against the terms of service.
Okay, yeah.
So. It's like a very specific way you had to do it to make it look like you weren't actually doing that. So, and I'm sure at this point, AWS is
okay. Well, then to go back to the analogy, I agree. I agree. Miners would be heavily incentivized not to move to proof of stake. I mean, I would be again if we can find some way to solve the double spend problem without using massive amounts of energy. That'd be a huge win. That'd be great.
I just don't think most Bitcoin miners would shut down.
Sure, but I don't think the miners are that powerful, because you saw that most of the mining hash power opposed SegWit for a period of time back in 2017, and the community, we were able to push that through despite their opposition. And if it comes down to it that there is some Tangle or proof of stake or some method that works better in proof of work, I mean, I'm just going to sell my Bitcoin and move over to that new system or to whatever fork of Bitcoin is doing it, if that's what they do. And then the miner is going to be mining an increasingly worthless chain. So I don't think that actually, I agree that the incentive for them to oppose it is there. But if the system actually works, if there is a viable alternative, I don't think there's much they can do to stop people from moving over to it.
Oh, definitely not. But I think that what you do is you create a lot of shit posting about the other projects because you don't want people to move because you're heavily invested. So you see it with the oil companies and gas companies.
But I don't think
they actually pay scientists to put out fake scientific studies because they don't want people to switch
No,
over
I've seen this stuff.
energy.
Exxon knew about global warming since the 80s, and
and same with big tobacco.
Yeah, exactly.
And, these people have so much invested. They are willing to do anything to keep people hooked on their project.
But I don't think that
I don't
think that explains though why Bitcoiners are aggressive against cryptocurrency. I don't think that's a big part of it though, because I think the amount of people who are actually invested in mining hardware is actually a comparatively small portion of the Bitcoin community, at least in terms of like the influencers and people who are loud and vocal.
Yeah, for me, honestly, I've never understood it. It just doesn't make sense to me from an economic standpoint.
Why people are aggressively against it?
Yeah,
I listen
aggressively against anything.
Well,
like I'm not against Bitcoin. I just choose not to buy it because so far for me it just doesn't work.
Part of it,
and so I want something that works.
Part of it is a lot of people have gotten scammed in the space, though, right? Like even if you're making the case that Nano and maybe some others have like real value add, most of the stuff in the space is pretty fucking junk, isn't it? It's like I mean,
DeFi is a perfect example.
Exactly, yeah, and like you have like Binance is I believe like Dick Carter calls them shitcoin casinos. I think it's a great name for them because like they'll just add whatever, and so like that's where a lot of it comes from. I mean, like he didn't
he tweet out and he deleted it. The reason that he added sushi to Binance is because he said that if they don't provide enough liquidity, people just move to a different server.
That was really exchange. Honest. That was true.
And he deleted it.
That was true.
And it's just like, why are you deleting the most honest fucking statement in crypto?
Because people pointed out it was contradictory to his earlier statements that they have this whole like team that makes sure that all the projects they added are like valid and like are up to their standards and shit. And now he's like, nah, they're garbage. We need to make money. Like, you know. Well, that's why as well. Like, I mean, I have mixed feelings about like something like Kraken. Like, I don't like the fact that they list Ripple and BSV and trade them and shit. Actually, I don't even know if they have BSV anymore, but I kind of get it. Like, I mean, it must be very, very hard to make money as an exchange or a broker if you're Bitcoin only. It's I don't know.
Well, and also it's like, I mean, if you're going to claim to care about the free market, you have to actually allow the market to be free. You can't sit there and claim to care about the free market and then shut down all these projects that you
I don't think so, actually. No, I disagree
in.
with your take there because you can agree that they should be like they should be allowed to add these projects, but they shouldn't be free from criticism of doing so. I don't think that. Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely. Oh no, I don't. I mean, criticize away, but like, don't sit there and tell them they need to pull it down, or else they're fucking scammers themselves.
No, that's valid. You can say they're scammers and that's compatible with free market ideals. You could say, listen, you're allowed to be a scammer, but I'm going to call you one if you are.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily. In my mind, a scammer is if CZ's personally profiting from the sushi project, not the trading of the sushi project.
Oh, no, okay. Oh, yeah,
from the project itself, he's not actually personally that we know of. So, like, assuming that he's not personally profiting from. Well, this is like outside of people trading.
Yeah, well, this is like I think Krista Rose talks about scammers who don't know that they're scamming, or I think it was him. And there's possible for something to be a scam without any scammers if everybody genuinely believes in it, but there's no value. Like, what are they called? What was the term they came up with? A natural Ponzi,
or a cult.
Sure. I mean, it's a little different. There's generally like a figurehead for those. I think a natural Ponzi would be something where it just kind of comes into being.
You haven't listened to some of our episodes.
That is true.
Seems like everybody has. It seems like every cryptocurrency has a figurehead now.
Do we have one? I think we're pretty well dispersed. I mean, unless you mean like Satoshi.
You have Satoshi.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, I thought you meant one in existence. Yeah. I mean, Ethereum's got Vitalik, and Ripple's got that CTO guy who looks like a wizard. And I don't know, BSV has. Yeah, no, it's most of them. So Nano is this Colin dude?
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty low key. Doesn't really talk too much.
Well, it sounds like there's space for you to move in, Michael.
No.
It sounds like you can.
I will be your Nano Messiah.
You could fork.
You have the hair for it, dude. We need you to read it. We need you to get on board with it, and then you can be the Nano Messiah. That'll be the name of the podcast.
Oh God.
Right there, Mario the Nano Messiah.
Yeah, we'll see about that. How to make sure Mario never comes on your podcast again.
Yeah. Hey guys, I gotta go. It's like 100 degrees in my apartment because I don't have the AC on, and I'm just sweating through all my clothes.
What?
So, are you guys cool to wrap it up there? I know JJ,
spaced out.
I know you got a lot more you want to talk about.
I took my headphones off. No. Cool. I'm good to wrap it up there. No, I love having you on. I love having you on, Mario. It's great. You talk a lot. It saves me a lot of work.
It's okay. It was me.
Yeah. I'm glad I could be here for you.
So you wanted both of us on, but you just asked me questions the entire time.
Well,
yeah, nice.
No. The only time I heard JJ breathing once, and I said, "Do you have a question, JJ?" Yeah. That happened. JJ is just. You guys talked about your good cop, bad cop routine, and you definitely do have that. I find honestly, Michael, I find it hard to talk to you on Twitter, and but I find it easy to talk to you in person, which is why I like coming here. But but JJ he's got a calming presence.
I just call everybody out on Twitter. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I just call everybody on their shit.
But I mean, if I'm going to be blunt, Michael, sometimes I don't think you put a lot of effort into understanding what the other person says. I get that impression.
I just don't think you realize how condescending you are.
That's possible. That's possible. I mean, yeah, that's another thing with the medium as well. That's I think sometimes I definitely become impatient and get condescending.
Most of the time I respond to you, it's because I feel like you're being condescending to me.
Sure, yeah.
So I mean, who's the perfect? Oh my god, why am I blanking on his name? Big Head. God, why am I blanking on his name?
Head.
Bennett.
Bennett.
Yeah, everybody makes fun of it.
Tomlin, is that it?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Everybody photoshops his head bigger. He's the nicest person. I have never been condescending to him, or I've never said a horrible word or a mean word, anything. Just because, like, he kind of sets that tone of this is how I speak to people.
But you can't read tone on Twitter. It's almost impossible. You'll just misinterpret it.
Yeah,
I think don't you know I have superpowers? That's what bad cop has superpowers.
Oh, most people tell me I'm super nice on Twitter.
I don't attack anybody on Twitter. I will just call them out on the podcast because no one really listens to it. And
I think the only
that's why I have a podcast.
They're not listening to it.
I listen to you.
It's our safe space.
I like your reply tweets to me. Excuse me. I think the only person I'm an asshole to was I think Safedine is the only person I've actually thrown insults at because I just have very very few. This earned me quite a few blocks though. Do you guys know? You guys seen this new account? Bitcoiners.
No.
It's actually great. It's run by Rusty Russell, who is one of the lead developers of Lightning Network, and he doesn't tweet a lot. He's got he's got a Twitter account, but he doesn't say much on it. But he created this account because he was just frustrated with a lot of the just kind of crazy dogma in the space and like the kind of Bitcoin fixes literally everything kind of nonsense and the kind of culty stuff. And so he created this account just to mock them, and it's fucking hilarious.
I have seen it and I absolutely love it because I feel like he's my spirit animal. If he were an animal, he'd be my spirit animal.
Yeah, he is. Just so you know, one of the lead developers of the Lightning Network. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
so
it's great.
No,
you guys have a sense
I guess you better be in the Lightning now.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with people working on projects. I have a problem with I just want it to work.
I don't have a problem with people working on projects. I just want them to not suck at it, guys. I just
like if you want me to put money into it, if you want to convince me all day long on Twitter to buy Bitcoin, the shit better fucking work. That's it. That's all I want.
Have I ever told you to buy Bitcoin? I don't think I have.
No, you haven't.
No.
That's the reason why you're on the show.
Oh, because Michael.
If you were shilling
buy some Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin. You can live in a citadel later on as the world around you collapses. It's gonna be great, man.
It's like all of a sudden Bitcoiners have turned into born again Christians, and it's just like I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoiners eventually one day start actually saying this is the day the world's gonna end. And then start building their fucking ark up to the
the Citadel thing it's a little bit like that in some ways. I find it really funny. I have a hard time telling you how much these people take themselves seriously though. Like I did a few polls on it. Like, wait, what do you guys think of like the Citadel's thing? Like, is it like kind of half joke, half true? Is it like serious? You're gonna do it, or is it like just a funny meme? And like I'm kind of refreshed when I feel like relieved when I do those polls because usually most people are like, it's just like a funny thing to do. But like then it's just the line really blurs in between the people who are really good at the satire and the people who are actually like dead
serious. I mean, because I always think it's just satire until all of a sudden there's $700 million on
like,
sushi.
Okay, like you,
and I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
You guys,
and half of you are Bitcoiners or no coiners. It's just like another like sushi, yeah. And I'm like, are you joking, or did you really just lose $50,000 on fucking fake fish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got these fucking Nano reply guys. It's just like,
I know, right? They keep on trying to give you their fucking Nano for free. Do you
guys follow Luke Dash Jr.?
Yes.
Is he the Catholic guy?
Well, yes, he is. His Twitter account is just—it's a wild ride, man.
It is. I like it. It's entertaining.
I still remember.
Wasn't he comparing pedophilia with like murdering people and saying like pedophilia is or like murdering people is better than pedophilia? I forget what something. Remember that
like
weird?
We should
like
have another episode.
It sounds like something he would talk
another
about.
Another episode
but,
about this. This sounds like my kind of conversation. Gossiping about other people in crypto.
It's I don't know. Does it count as gossiping? That's all out in the open. If you want some good entertainment, look up
if they don't listen.
Like search for Luke Dash Jr. replying to me, and there was a point where he gave me a bunch of dating advice, which was just golden.
Oh
it was
God.
Golden. I would look that up.
I probably saw it.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Dating advice from Catholic Bitcoiners.
This is, I mean, to be honest, this is like half of what we do on our show is just read out funny shit we saw on Twitter. Which I'm delighted.
Yeah.
Delighted people listen
to it.
Still, but yeah. Anyways, we're coming to the end, right? I can shill my podcast. Guys, check out the Unhashed Podcast. We're the non-dogmatic Bitcoiners. We just had Mike and Space on from our most recent episode, and it was hilarious. You want to hear some awful singing and us just taking the piss, or if you actually want to learn about real technical stuff, we probably 1/3 of our episodes are us actually trying to break down technical concepts in terms for laymen to understand. So yeah, do check us out.
We won't have to be
but that's
naive
my
anymore.
persona.
Honestly, man, the more you listen to our show, the less naive you'll be. It's going to be great. One day you'll even be able to buy. One day you'll be ready to buy some Bitcoin. It's going to be a great day.